permit, put a new roof on it.
Yeah.
The guy isn't here yet.
Yeah.
It's friends, he's coming up from California.
Yeah. I was looking through the little notes here.
Dave, here's the Linda called, so that's George's.
Never looks the same twice.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to, took me a minute for it to process there what it said for some reason. My brain works slow. No, that's another thing I got to bring up.
What we should do is make all these
Longer and more money.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see that? Oh, yeah. No, it hasn't. They said October sometime. I'm guessing towards the end of October.
It should take some time.
I think they keep finding more and more stuff. And they keep finding more and more stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It might be hard for people to visualize
Case.
without support for
Ooh, I remember my first beer too. Yeah.
I usually because I'm about 3 weeks into this new area, trying to illness. Usually I hit up the schools, get to know the school, and then land in the city and see where we can be. We have events.
Spend all weekend hauling wood.
Oh, they did. Yeah, wood stove or
And I was like,
you beat afterwards?
pardon?
Were you beat afterwards?
Oh, God, yes.
How much wood do you use every year?
No, we hauled 5 loads
5 loads, that's quite a bit. Yeah,
in my pickup.
yeah. That's a lot of work.
A girl that I used to work with.
Okay, everybody, it's about time to get started here.
But I'm
Yeah.
Okay, we'll call to order the work session for the Tenino City Council, September 24th, 2024. Just to let you know, Linda was sick today and seemed to be getting sicker, so she asked to be excused today, but we'll do that officially in our regular meeting, but just so you know, she won't be here for the work session or the regular meeting. So we'll start out with our agenda, review the agenda that's presented for this tonight. Give you a couple minutes to look at that. If you have any additions or any comments you'd like to make for approval later on, please speak up and I will make note of those. Everybody good with the current agenda? I'll give you more time if you need it. If not, we'll move on. Council priorities, I will just start off by saying I wanted to give you an update. We received a note from the auditor's office that they've been working on this and thought we were finished. Well, their update says they found some other issues that they need to work on, and
they need more money.
They upped our total to from 60,000, I think was the original, to 64,500. And it's going to be October before they finish the audit. It didn't say when in October, but I'm guessing since it's almost into September, if they're still working on something, it'd be closer to the end of October.
What will happen if we don't pay it?
So that's the update on the audit. So we'll wait and see what they come back with.
We need the money more.
Yeah. We were supposed to have the city planner here tonight, but she couldn't make it, so she's going to come to the next meeting. Property surplus, we've talked about this a little bit. We have this raw land, Washington Street over here that we've talked about before. We've got the cold storage warehouse in the old shop, and recently that we didn't include last time was our library. And I think I talked a little bit about this. The library had made some mention about maybe being interested in purchasing that. We haven't got an appraisal for it, which we're gonna do, because if we're gonna do anything with it, whether it's work with the library or whatever, we need an appraisal to base that on. So we're gonna go get that building appraised. I guess my question, just as a general, just for discussion right now, is, to be fair to Linda, since she isn't here, she brought up today, she thought we should hold on to properties. We should lease them for long-term versus selling them. I think most other people that spoke up said they believe we should sell them. So I just wanted to have some discussion with the other council members just to get your thoughts on long-term leases on these buildings versus selling. I think long-term leases may be more difficult for some of the organizations that may be wanting to do something with these buildings. But I just wanted to throw it out there and get any thoughts from you before we kind of move forward on how we're gonna surplus and I talk to these people to see what their interests are. Anybody have any thoughts or?
So the only ones that have buildings are the ones down here on Sussex.
Yes, and then the library. So the actual buildings,
Which ones?
the library and the
Oh,
two
yeah.
buildings down on Sussex.
The old maintenance.
Yeah, the old maintenance shop and the cold storage. The other ones are all raw property. From what I got from her, she thinks we should even maybe hold on to those, but I'm, with the position we're in right now especially, my personal feeling is that we move forward with some kind of sales agreement on those versus thinking about long-term leases. I just think that throws a lot of complications if they want to make improvements or, do anything with those buildings. But to be fair, I wanted to say with her, what she was thinking and just give you a chance to speak up.
If the library was interested in buying that building, it's gonna stay a library. The thing is that it no longer, it no longer falls on us to do anything with the building at all. So therein lies the rub. What is it actually worth? And we haven't found that part out yet. And those other couple of buildings down at the other end, the same thing.
We know the value on those now.
Yeah, we know the value of them. What is it zoned as?
It's, right now it's zoned as residential. The food bank has made some comments in at the planning commission. And from what I understand, I don't know, Jeff, if you've been going to them, there was some discussion whether those were miszoned when they did the zoning map, that those may have supposed to have been some type of commercial, but somehow on the map. So I think they're trying to go back and do some research to see if those were actually zoned residential or not. And
Right, it's a little mixed up there. And it used to be a city building, so perhaps at the time it was not considered important since it was a public
Yeah.
building and not
so
actually.
they're working, and I think that's part of what, just talking to them is the whole, there's a kind of contingency. They need to know that they can use those buildings if,
Because they're really not, especially those, they're really not money makers for the city.
no,
It's
neither
just-
one of them, or the library. The
Yeah.
library is actually costing us
Yeah.
$30,000 a year plus. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of get some thoughts before I move forward with, talking to the people that are interested, so I can kind of say, here's where the council's leaning. But like I said, my thing is I would rather sell them and let the people do what they want to with them and have control over it versus us having to get in the middle of all the, But
My thoughts on the Sussex buildings is if we're able to work something out with the food bank or some other community-minded organization, I think that would be a good use of the public building. The city is still, even though we don't own it, we're still providing a service.
and benefiting
By
from
proxy.
it. Our citizens are benefiting from it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Regarding the library, I'll observe that this block here, we've got the city administrative building we're sitting in right here. We have the fire station, and the fire folks are planning to move out at some point. The library, and maybe we'll take over the bank, who knows? But there's three. It forms a, if not now, then a potential civic center. If we needed a community center, you've got that huge bay where they keep the fire trucks, things like that. So I get the point that they're excess assets, and we probably could use the money. But while we're considering that, let's consider the long-term plans for the city where we'd like to see it go. Because I think if we, down the road, need to get a bigger building or add another service, there's not a whole lot of places in Tenino that are as convenient as those two buildings over there.
Anybody?
Fire department, if we're thinking about taking that building, that's a lot of money. It's gonna, last I heard from an appraiser was about $750,000.
I was thinking it north of 500,000, I think.
Yeah, so that's a big chunk of change. Don't know what it'll break down on a monthly basis. Never mind if the conversion to what would be needed.
Compare that to the expense of building a new building from the ground up.
Oh, I understand that, and I've been through that before with the police department at the other end of the city. Help raise the funds and get the votes for it.
I take your point. It's expensive and we can't afford it, but
That's what's best use. What will we actually use it for? Because we got a place down there. We don't have a giant population where a civic center is something that's going to be heavily used. Not like over in Lacey or Olympia or Tumwater, where theirs are used on almost every day, every minute of opening hours. There'll be times when it sits and just sits and ends up costing. It's 50 cents for one and a half dozen of the other. I do agree that owning this whole block for the city would be very advantageous, but I don't know that we're in the position to do it right now.
Yeah.
Because
Can I-
when
go
that
ahead.
comes up for sale, I don't see that it's staying on the market very long.
Yeah, I know the food bank would love to have that building if they were gonna be able to get out of it earlier, but I think what I'd inject in there just a little bit, to me, a library is kind of our, again, part of our civic, so if we want to call this a civic block, to me, a library in a small city is really part of that whole, so having that library stay there, and like you said, I think it'd be more likely that they would stay if they own the building versus continuing to lease, you know, if they're leasing, they can get out of, you know,
See, and
So-
they tried to do that a couple of years ago.
when they're having all those financial problems, they
Yeah,
were
they
looking at
tried to
closing
get
it
out of
down.
it, and we were able to keep them here.
So I guess I take your point, and I understand too about the block concept, but again, I think I partially kind of lean, the library is an important part of our dislike, you know.
and I take your point and I take John's point, and I think what that means is these are more than just trivially selling them or keeping them, whatever. It requires a more depth consideration of what we want to do with them
Yeah,
and what
we
the
will.
expenses are.
I
and the
just
rest of
trying
it.
to get a feel for what, you know, where people were at, and did you have anything as far as what you think, where we should lean? I mean, I can talk to both of them, and we can kind of say, here's what kind of the offers we're gonna get, and then we can say, well, that makes sense or doesn't make sense too, you know?
Mhm.
But just the initial, I just wanted to, when I went and talked to them, have at least an initial kind of feeling whether I should even go down that, you know? So,
This
I
one,
would say talk to them and find out the information or see how they feel about it before.
yeah.
I agree. There's no harm in learning what the city's options are
Yeah.
on the subject.
Seeing what our options are there.
But it's not off the table to sell.
no,
Okay.
No.
no.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because she's like, I don't want to, you know,
It falls down to what's best use.
okay. I'll take that back, and we'll bring it back. Like I said, this is just an initial, kind of get a feel for where everybody's at, to make sure I'm not saying something to them that I shouldn't be when we're having discussions.
Over there, how much more of that property is actually beyond just the two buildings that are sitting on that?
How much more property is there around it?
Yeah,
I know the cold storage warehouses pretty much takes up that whole lot. There's that little parking area off to the side that's
Yeah.
open, but I think it's pretty close, probably as close to the other line as you can get. The shop, I don't, let's see, if I can see, I find a schematic real quick, how much, there's usually a drawing in here that kind of shows where it sits on the lot. I'm guessing this pretty much takes up the whole lot too, really, there's not a
See,
lot of
what
extra.
I'm thinking is, I've been amazed lately at how builders can fit so much stuff in such a small area. Look across the street from the school. That's a small area. What do they got in there? 6, 8 apartments?
Yeah,
Oh, the townhouses
Yeah.
that were just built?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking if they, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just talk to them and we'll come back
Yeah.
with more details. Because I think there's some issues with getting both those lots down there if they're gonna do the cold storage place.
There's your picture of it.
Oh, yeah, I know what it looks like. I just wanted to know if there's any more beyond what's there.
Yeah, and we'll kind of have to get that cleared up, what the zoning actually is, if they find out exactly what that truly is supposed to be, if it's different than residential too, so
Mhm.
that'll be helpful in understanding, you know. Just a quick update, we contracted probably a couple months ago to get that updated water system report update. We did get that back just a couple days ago, so we'll get that out to anybody that wants to review that. It's kind of very technical, at least from my perspective. So what they talked about with today was inviting them to come to our next meeting, if they can make it, and kind of give us a layman's report on what this thing means. But we have the report if anybody wants to read the original report, just call and ask, and we can get that electronic copy to you. But for me, it was way over my head, 90% of what I was reading, so we'll have them come in and try to give us a report on what exactly that means.
You needed to have the gibberish to English dictionary.
Yeah.
The translation.
We're proposing this, to want to go over this real quick, ordinance on adjusting the budget that was in the packet. There was a couple changes I need to propose in that, so when I read this ordinance, I will include those changes in this first reading. We'll have a second reading. So, yeah, it's just some things that got missed, so we'll add those in there. Did anybody take a look at that and have any questions before we actually go to the process of approving it? Was there anything that caught your eyes?
We got lots of time. We do and we don't, but, you know.
Yeah,
And I confess, accounting is not my strong point. I'm not at the point to be able to ask the questions
right.
on that.
Well, basically, it's not changing, I mean, it's just starting with our correct balances, basically, because, you know, we did all the audit, and we came back with actual balances, beyond what we originally started with in 2024. So the biggest part of this is just correcting all those starting balances to read the true starting balances. That is really the biggest one. And the capital improvement line is where really the big changes were, because there's a lot of projects that were included in there that we didn't get funded and we're not going to do, so we took all those out. So it's a big swing on the amount of revenue and the amount of expenditures in that line, just because there's a lot of big capital projects that were put in there and they're not going to happen. So that one will show when I read it, will show a big difference in what we approved. But I would say by and far it's just setting our correct balances that we got from the person that did our audit, not audit, our update on our budget. So, and I guess the thing is with getting this done is until the council votes on it and approves it, we have it in a spreadsheet, but it doesn't go into our budget until we push the button that says it's been approved by the council.
Mhm.
So until that's approval is made, our budget still looks like the old budget so it'll be very helpful for us to be able to look at our budget and have real numbers when we're looking at stuff versus, oh, this one isn't really that, and so anyway, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it, and I will read all the numbers that we have, but there's going to be a couple additions beyond what was in your packet, and I'll make note of those, the ones that I changed. Does that sound like a plan on that?
It sounds like a plan.
And then we'll correct it for the next meeting. We have to have 2 readings on this one.
Right.
We'll
right.
correct it and make sure it's all as we read tonight in the next,
Right, and I'm fine not being clear on my position on that, to go ahead and vote, because it's one step of the process, and we'll be
It's
talking
kind of
about
like
more.
adjusting your checking account.
I get that, but I'm curious, what are the differences? We're getting what the new numbers are. Are we giving a comparison of how far they were off?
I can show those to you. I mean, I can mention them if you want to. Do you want to go over them just now as we're workshopping, or?
Maybe next week.
Okay.
I'll be more
I
prepared.
have all those. We have what was originally a spreadsheet which shows what was originally proposed in our 2024 budget when it was adopted and what the actual true numbers were. Some of them are big, some of them are pretty big, so.
Okay, let's push that to the next meeting.
Next meeting, okay.
Because my understanding is that whatever the reasons are for the change, it's not gonna change, that these are the real numbers that we're working with
Yeah.
right now going forward.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
An update on this, and maybe Jen, let me know. I know you wrote a note to the Yelm Court about but I'm just gonna tell them what they told me. And, we had made a proposal for Yelm to provide our court services. I had a meeting with Todd Stansel the other day, I wanted to talk to him just about general city stuff, so I went out there to talk to him. They said they were not willing to take over our court services until we get our financials cleaned up with and that includes the court financials, because there's some cleanup reporting that needs to be done there that's behind. And then we have all those outstanding tickets that was in the audit found. Jen wrote them back a note. I don't know if they knew that our plan was that we would keep all that and just let them start fresh. So she sent them a note saying, make sure that, you know, this is where we're at. We want to just keep all the old stuff and make it right, to make sure they understood that when they said they didn't want to take over until we got all those cleaned up, because I didn't really think about it at the time, but they could have thought that we were going to ship them all the, 900 tickets and a bunch of accounting to keep up on. So we'll follow up with you on that, but that was their initial comment. They didn't want to step into when there's some things that need to be cleared up. And they said they're willing to look at that when we get it fixed, is what he told me, come back to us, and we'll look at it. But for right now, so I'll fill you back in on what, if there's any updates on that.
And what are we doing for the court in the meantime?
We're just gonna have to keep running it
Same,
like we are and
okay.
try to work on cleaning up those things that need to be fixed. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be one of the things on our audit that need to be cleared up, but we're already started trying to, at least I'm hoping I know the issue's known, and yeah, I'm hoping we're starting to at least get a grasp on what we need to do there.
How far back does the uncollected tickets go?
Huh?
How far back do the uncollected tickets
I don't
go?
know how far back we can actually go to send them to collections, how many years,
Mm-hmm.
but I was told that we have tickets going back to the late 1900s that have never been written off or anything, that were never collected on, but never just the official process to get them off our books never happened. I think the judge, if I understand right, has to take those and make some kind of, so it goes back a ways. I don't know how many of them are way old, and if there's a bunch that are newer, and I don't know the mix in there, but there's some fairly old stuff from what I understand.
How did we get that far behind?
Especially since years ago, before any of you guys were here, I brought this up. And there were ways to take care of a lot of that stuff back then.
Yeah. This is part, like I mentioned today in our, when we had our meeting, somebody told me the other day, and I think it's kind of a good way to think. When we have things like this happen, it's very difficult, but it's an opportunity to make things right and make them better. So that's kind of how I'm trying to approach this, is some things didn't happen that should have happened, but let's try to understand why they happened and build going forward to make things right and make sure we have the processes in place to make sure we don't get in this place again, So that's kind of my approach. I thought that was kind of wise words to, because this has been eaten at me, to be truthful with you. A lot of this stuff really, it's concerning, so for me, that was kind of just a wake up, realize you're maybe in a bad spot, but let's just work on making things work in the future. And it's going to take some time, but we'll get there.
One of the things that we possibly could do, because Jen and the other girls down there, they're not bill collectors. We may be able to hire somebody on a commission basis to go after those instead of sending them out.
I think that's what's supposed to happen. They're supposed to send to collections.
They are
Some-
in process of being sent to collections, like
Okay.
all the back ones.
No, see, what I'm saying is that we do that in-house instead. Hire somebody for 2 days a week and they
Oh,
get
like a
paid on a
part-time just to deal
commission
with this?
basis. Because that's how, when you send them to collections, they don't get anything unless they get it too.
They get it.
And if you're sending them stuff from the late 1900s, where you're looking at not getting anything.
Yeah, I think some of those are just too old to do
I
anything.
was
Yeah.
gonna say, some of those are probably too old to even send.
kind of along those same lines, I told you I met with Todd Stansel from Yelm. He's a former police chief out there and is now the city manager, has been the city manager for some time. He seems to be a great guy to me. I just kind of sat down and said, hey, what resources can you think of that we could help us kind of get back on track? And we've talked about how do we take this deficit we're in and kind of get a plan for moving forward. He gave me the name of a company that they've used in the past when they've had some issues. It's called Prothman. They're called Prothman, and what they do is provide temporary, mostly for government organizations. They do like interim, if you just need somebody for 2 months or however long you need them for, they help find you the right person to come in and guide you through some of these things like this. I did make a call to him. His initial reaction was, kind of just told him very briefly, kind of some of the issues that, you know, I think somebody needs to deal with. He did say that he had in mind a couple of people that maybe could help us, and he'll get back to us. He's reaching out to them to see if they're available. But I think we just need to have some help to get us back on track and kind of identify some, like we're talking about these tickets, what did we do wrong here, and how do we make sure we don't get back here going forward? And so I'll bring that forward to you if he provides us some information and get an idea of cost and those kind of things. It's going to cost us some money to kind of get it back on the right track, unfortunately, but I feel like it's something we have to get it right, and I think we need some help. So I will let you know what's going on there and keep you informed, and hopefully by the next meeting he'll be able to get back with me and let me know where he has
Do we
something.
have the money for it?
Well, that's going to be, it kind of depends on, we don't really, but we're going to have to just budget for it for next year. It's just going to be something we're going to have to, yeah, that's the hard part when you're in this spot. It's
There's not money for it, but you're gonna have to find money for it.
And what we've, yeah, I guess I might as well move on to this one. I didn't have it on the list, but we're gonna have to probably, and we've talked about this a little bit, borrow some money from our sewer and water fund to carry us over, because we're kind of in the hole in our general fund. So that's probably where it's gonna come from short term, is we're gonna have to borrow some money from our sewer and water funds to pay some of our expenses to get us through the end of this year and get us kind of on track. And then we'll have to have a plan to pay back the money that we borrow. We've done this before when they had the housing downturn and things went, you know, our budget was impacted so severely, we had to do some transfers for money from the water fund, and we paid it back. And it's not the ideal situation, but I think that's probably what,
Well,
at least the initial thing, just to get us back to zero.
It's better than trying to borrow the money from a bank and
Yeah.
have to pay them back.
So, and that was one of the things, Todd mentioned, and I knew this was true. By state law, you can't end your budget with minuses, and we have some minuses now. So at the end of this year, we're gonna have to know where we're at and zero those out.
So he's gotta play the lottery.
I don't want to go to jail for my first year in jail. So that's, we'll have to figure out how to make that work. But I understand that's I understand that's a concern. So it'll come back before the council before any decisions are made, definitely. Something else came up that I was gonna. Old age hit me again.
Pardon?
I said old age hit me again. I had something else that wasn't super important, but I was just going to mention it since we had some time still. I guess we can talk about this now before the meeting. I have been talking still with the VFW about the monument over by the pool. I think we all kind of agreed that we're all for this project. There's been questions come up. There were some questions came up about our agreement. One of them was about providing crushed rock. It was again came up as if we don't have any money, should we, So I asked if they could provide the rock. We'll do some digging out still that we can just do on our own to prepare it, and they'll bring the rock in and we can compact it for them a bit. They're cool with that. The other concern, I think this was really the biggest concern, was the funding. People were concerned if this got started and it wasn't, and they didn't get all the funding for it, what would happen with the project. Talking with Frank, who's here tonight, and he can talk if we have any more questions. He's willing to, he's willing to put his own dollars on the line to assure this project's finished, basically. They're still in the process of raising some funds, and part of that, huh?
They're selling the bricks.
Yeah, part of that fundraising is there's people that want to make donations, but they want to make sure there's an agreement in place before they make donations, of course. I would too, if I was going to donate to something like this. So I want to check in with the council if he's willing to, and we can put this in writing, he's willing to guarantee that this thing is going to be funded, and it's not, it's not going to die in the middle of the project for a lack of funding because they haven't raised what they thought they would. Is that acceptable to the council? And we can't vote on it right now, but if there are any thoughts on that would cause concern for you, if that's kind of the approach
We
we
can
took.
let Frank speak.
Yeah, and Frank can come up and speak, or you have any questions about. They've been working on this for 9 years, this is my opinion. They're local veterans that want to do this. I don't have a lot of fear that they're gonna come in and start a project and not finish it personally.
Well, I don't know, are they Navy?
Huh?
Are they Navy?
Yeah, you'll have to ask them, yeah. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, they've been passionate about it for a long time, so yeah, I'm not concerned.
Let me is your mic on? Make sure that light is on. If you push the button on the bottom, there should be a kind of turn on brightly. There you go.
Yeah, my wife and I are both heavily committed to this project. We've also contacted the executive of our estate to let them know that if something happens to us, that we were responsible for the funding of the wall that comes forward. The construction of the wall will not be delayed because of lack of funding. It'll be delayed either by weather, construction concerns, or stuff like that. But I don't know if any of you know me, but I've been after this over 9 years, and I'm dedicated to this project, and financially is not a problem. So,
Who are you, Frank? I don't know you.
So
No.
what we'll do, if I don't hear any, unless there's some big objection to that language in there about him covering the funding, I'll bring back a proposal that spells out clearly that, and we'll just have a vote on it.
There you go.
This is one of those things we just need to get moving on with. It's been 9 years, and I would like to just.
And we're, excuse me, I'll interrupt. We're doing this for somebody else's benefit, for the donors, to make sure there's a guarantor for the meeting. The city doesn't have any concerns one way or the other with this, correct?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, there's my mind's on so many things tonight. I start talking and I'm forgetting what
No real concerns for the city in this?
No.
VFW's
I haven't heard
buying
anything except
materials?
positives about doing it. I mean, that pool was originally a veterans, the veterans put that together, and that's, to me, it's a great place to honor those people.
Sure.
Right there in that corner is not a
It'll
piece of
go-
property that we're gonna
It'll be
use.
World War I, World War II, all the way up to 2012, those from the Tenino High School that attended or graduated, up to 1973, which was the end of the draft, from 73 on of those who graduated. There was names to be on the wall, engraved in the wall.
Okay.
So,
It sounds like they've already started some work getting the sandstone hopefully ready and some other things. So there's a lot of prep work that's already been started on it. So I'm, yeah.
Can I just say one thing
Yeah.
on the city side, I think just for, the park and like insurance purposes, I think we are hoping for a timeline to kind of know when Public Works can anticipate, breaking ground and
Yes.
starting the surfacing, and so I think that's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
what I'd like to see.
With the mayor and I, he's requested at least a 2-week advance notice
Yeah.
of the timeline, and that'll be in this when we rewrite the letter. That at least a 2-week
So
advance notice.
The beginning of October, huh?
Well, hopefully sooner than that. We're supposed to be getting the engineering drawing for it, should come out this week. So I'll go from that.
I know what I was going to add a minute ago. Sorry if I interrupted you. There was an issue that the lawyer mentioned about gifting of public land, because that is public land. So when this project, basically they're building this project and it's going to be owned by the city. So it's not going to be, it'll be our property once it's done. Yeah. There's no land swap or gifting of public lands.
Okay.
They're going to manage the project, and basically the ownership will be with the city.
Is that another point that we laid out in this
Yeah,
new letter?
I got that in
Give
there,
away?
yeah.
Okay.
And I talked to Frank about that, and I
Yep,
think
yep.
they're all good with that, so.
Yep.
If anybody thinks between now, after this meeting, thinks of anything that, you know, comes up, please let me know so we can kind of get it. I would really like to vote on this and kind of have it finalized next meeting, so we can just keep.
Because
yeah.
once this is finalized, we have to take it before the VFW to get them
Yeah.
to sign it.
And I'll send you a copy of the adjustments I make, so you have
Okay.
what I'm gonna present to the council, so
Okay.
you can have a chance to look at that before it comes to council also.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a
Yeah,
plan?
I mean, once I get what you would like in that one statement for the
Yeah.
finances, I'll get with the guy and we'll get this rewritten, get it to you and
Yep,
get her done.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Frank.
That is, I know that was a lot. I know we got a lot on our plate right now, but it seems a little overwhelming, but that's all I have for right now. If there's other things that anybody wants to bring up for the work session to discuss, I'm more than willing to hear what you have to say. We got 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
I don't do reports.
Hmm?
You can do reports.
Oh, yeah, reports. Excuse me, I forgot reports. I was, Chamber of Commerce, we have a candidates forum this Thursday, 9/26 at the Kodiak Room.
Starts at 6 and goes till 9?
Huh?
It starts at 6, goes till
Yeah,
9?
it doesn't say the time. I can send that out, or you can look it up.
I think that's what it is. I'll
6 to
be-
9.
I'll be late because I have a commission meeting.
Okay, that's all he provided for tonight. EDC, I will say another thing on, I guess it's kind of part of the EDC.
He
We
called
have
us a
the-
city in his speech.
Yeah, I messed up.
He calls it town.
Yeah. We have a grant that's kind of through the county for chargers out at the ag park out there. I was asked a question about matching money in that grant. There's a $40,000 match, and I couldn't remember. I thought it was kind of taken care of, but I couldn't remember. But the EDC, as part of that, has met that match requirement for us. So there's no money for those chargers. There's no money from our part necessary. The grant
Are
match
we
is
going
going
to do
through
the
the
prep work,
EDC.
or is it going to be handled?
I think it's pretty much all prepped. I mean, the conduit and stuff is already there. That was
Okay.
part of the initial construction. I think all they're waiting for is the specifications on the charger itself to figure out what kind of pad what kind of work they have to do to set it. But there's no match. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that the EDC was providing that match for that project. Study. I think Linda was there. I wasn't there. I had another thing going on. Were you there, John?
Yeah, I was there. It was just basically the same. Everybody is telling everyone about what events that they have coming up, and we told them about our events, and then everybody said, "Yeah, huzzah!" and went home.
Okay, Arch Commission. I think the Experience Olympia and Beyond, I did go to. They had their kind of annual, I don't know what
Awards.
at the Kodiak Room again. Basically is recognizing the people that are involved in the EDC and the work that they do, and a lot of businesses that are, benefited from their work. There were some awards given, and just recognition of the people. I gave a little speech. I got in trouble by John right in the middle of it because I said the town instead of the city. So of course John yelled across the room. Embarrassed me, but yeah.
I didn't think
You're
you heard
supposed
me.
to correct him after the
I
fact.
didn't think you heard me. It's just automatic.
Your voice projects, but anyway, so I just kind of did a little talk on the city, but yeah,
Everybody had
it was
fun with that.
it was a nice event, and yeah, it was nice for them to kind of do it in South Thurston County. I think there's been in the past some people that have thought that they haven't really done for the South Thurston County, much. So they're trying to make sure they include us in, when they're doing things, and so that was nice of them to have that event here. And it was,
George Sharp got the Lifetime Achievement Award.
yes. Yeah, there's actually like 3 or 4 people that had never been to Tenino from, so I just asked, hey, anybody here that hasn't ever, and there's like 3 or 4, and they actually came up to me afterwards and talked to me. So a couple people were from Yelm, but I don't know, they haven't lived there for a long time, but they purchased a motel in Yelm apparently, that had never been here. So I encouraged everybody to come back and visit us and get to know Tenino. So that was a good opportunity to in front of a lot of people to invite them back to our town,
What?
our city. Timberland Regional Library, we'll save that one if she comes back. She might be out of town, so we might not have anybody from the library today.
Didn't she have surgery?
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
out for
that's what it
a
was.
for a bit of time.
Yeah.
Committees and commissions, Civil Service Commission, I don't doubt that there's been any civil service.
Nothing.
Facade Improvement Grant, I don't think. Finance Committee, we did have a meeting, that was since after our last meeting, we had a Finance Committee meeting just to discuss our budget and basically everything we've been talking about, just
Yeah.
brought that up and make aware of what's going on. I just talked to Jen today, she has already started at 25 kind of preliminary, filling the numbers with kind of some basics, and we'll have to go back. So we started trying to get our 25 budget ready kind of a bit earlier than we normally would, just because I think there's gonna be a little more work than we would normally think. So we're trying to get a start on that early, and Troy's already, I think both Troy and the chief have already kind of given us some numbers that they're proposing. So we can get those in there, and we'll be working on that to bring, in a timely manner to the council. Planning Commission, he might be here later if he is.
Emailed that he didn't have anything to report.
Okay. Public Safety Committee,
No,
Public
yeah.
Works, anything?
No, our meeting, I think, is.
October, I think.
It's coming up
Coming
in
up.
October, yeah.
Chief of Police, I didn't saw him today. I didn't see anything from him on our, McClellan's coming back from he was on maternity leave. I guess I didn't think it'd been this long, but almost 2 months since he's been out. So he's coming back, I think, soon from maternity leave, which will help us a little bit. Other than that, he didn't have a lot to say at our meeting this morning. Director of Public Works, we'll see if I don't think he'll show up either, but they're finishing up the Park Street work. You probably have driven down there. They're working on the risers for like the shut-off valves that are in the road and stuff for the water. They're fixing those, so they're up with the road. And they'll be doing striping on it soon. But I think the project's pretty much done, and Troy seems to be happy with the work they did, and so just
A whole lot better than the other
yeah.
streets.
few little things they're working to finish up, but that should be completed here real soon. Code Enforcement Building Inspector, I don't have anything from Rainey there. Park Specialist, I didn't hear anything from.
I have a little
Okay.
something from her.
Okay.
She was supposed to come, but she's not feeling great.
Uh-oh, another dropping like
Another
flies.
one bites the dust. For the museum, she wanted to say that Railroad Day took place this weekend, and also the Ackerman's tragedy is solely felt by everyone at the Historical Society. City-wise, we will hear about the 3 grants that we applied for with the RCO by the end of October. The ranking list has dropped for 2 of those, but our scores are respectable. We're also working on proposals for some additional facility revenue streams at the park. And next week, her new work week schedule starts, reducing down 1 day a week.
Yeah.
So she'll work 4 days a week. That sounded
So
weird.
she's working part-time at the church, I think now, so she asked to go, have work 4 days a week instead of the 5 days, so,
I agree.
yeah,
He's going to be a minister.
yes. Clerk treasurer,
I don't really have anything to report.
okay. Mayor, mine has just mainly been spent talking to other people about our budget and just trying to learn and from their experiences how to move forward with some of these things. We did have a meeting with a person that's interested in possibly using our pool over the winter time. I think kind of one of the big things, it's not a big thing, but popular things nowadays is cold plunging. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about cold plunging.
Polar bear.
Yeah, so he's interested in using our pool, and this is just very basic. We just kind of had a conversation. This is what I'm kind of thinking about doing. He's going to provide us more information. So he would like to bring in, at least what he proposed to us initially, he had a trailer that was turned into a sauna that people could go in the sauna and then do the cold plunge in the pool. And he wants to park that trailer kind of in where the gate is going into the pool, and So it's very, very preliminary. I don't know if it'll move forward, but we did have a meeting with him, and he's actually requested another meeting to kind of give us some more details on what he sees with that. So it's just something, talking with Troy, he thinks it's a good idea to be able to generate some kind of revenue in the off-season when that's not being used, but.
Well, if that's gonna happen, then we need to start telling the food trucks that they can come down here, because we're the least expensive place for a food truck to come.
Yeah.
That would draw more people.
So anyway, I'll report back. I just got an email yesterday and requesting, so I talked to Troy today, and we're gonna have him come in and see what he's get some more detail about what he's thinking, and we'll come back with that. But really, most of my stuff has just been around working on the budget stuff, really.
Their current activity is happening tomorrow at 6 to 8 at the middle school. They're doing a showing of Screenagers, the film they've been doing that kind of shows the effects of constant cell phone use with the teenagers, and kind of what parents can do about that to help out with that. Light refreshments, everybody of all ages is invited, so anyone who has any questions about how they can help manage their kids' use of screen time, I encourage you, BTHAT encourage you to see that at middle school tomorrow.
Grow up and kick them out.
Solid Waste Advisory Board, I think you reported last up on next week. Yeah. TCOM 911, I think the Tenino School Board.
Oh, okay. So this week's is homecoming. Tenino it's here. It's against Centralia. Girls soccer and volleyball is home Thursday against Monty, and boys golf is home at the Young Course against Monty.
That just changed, didn't it? Did they just switch from being away to home game? Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And then also October is National Principal Month, so you can get on the district's website or Facebook page and vote for Mr. Williams if you want, or other principals, whoever you prefer.
Don't be biased. You got to mention all of them.
No. And then Jeff has a report too.
Thank you. Yesterday was the monthly school board meeting, and the new personnel at all the schools were introduced and welcome to the school district. We've got a lot of new people, a lot of people who've served in other capacities and are now moving up to different positions. It's nice to see all that. There was a recognition of the Little Red Schoolhouse folks, and that's, for those who don't know, the charity that collects backpacks and school supplies for kids who need help with that at the start of the school. And Tenino was just saying thank you very much for helping out with that. Reports from the schools. Rand at the middle school principal there, he said a couple things that I found really interesting. One thing is, apparently they've gone to, what do they call it, wherever it is. Basically, everybody has lunch at the same time. He says they can move the entire school through the lunch line in only 8 minutes, which is good.
Crazy.
But the most interesting thing they're finding is that kids are back to going out on the playground and being kids and laughing and doing all that kind of stuff. And the teachers have their time in the staff room and out with the kids on the playground. Part of that, I think, is they also have a put it away policy for the phones. The middle schoolers, they come, they lock up their phone, and they're done with it. And the effect on that, kind of going back to the Screenagers idea, is that the kids aren't hanging out in the bathrooms, in the hallways, having flame wars and whatnot. They're back out socializing and doing what middle school kids have always done, being middle school kids. So some important things there. There were open houses, of course, with the start of the school year throughout the district, and they were pleased at the very, very high turnout from parents. So thanks, parents, for caring to step up and participate in the schools. I think Parkside had, 86% attendance or something.
That's pretty good.
So budget issues, again, they're still tight, but they're managing it, and they're going forward with the school year. Just pretty good news there at the school district, taking care of business for us.
I will mention too, it's not directly related to the school, but you talked about the food for the kids and stuff. The lunches made me, all kids win. I think I mentioned them before here. They're providing again this year weekend food bags for all the kids in the Tenino School District that are not going to have food unless they get some kind of weekend food bags. You know, they get breakfast and lunches at school, but a lot of times these same kids don't have access to get food. So I've helped with that for several years. So I'm continuing to provide bags to the schools. Last year we were doing like 60 to 70 bags every week for kids that needed weekend food, just for weekend food.
Yeah.
At like $10 a bag. And they were doing thousands in the whole county, because they do, all the schools in the county, All Kids Win was doing thousands a week. So they run their all volunteer organization, much like our food bank, that is trying to help, you know, provide that gap in kids' needs. And so I just wanted to take a second to recognize them and let everybody know they're doing that work in the school again this year.
Thank you, Mayor. And that is another example of Tenino taking care of its own. You know, we're a community,
Yep.
we all help each other out. Oh, one thing people can help middle school out with is they have kind of a career day kind of thing where people come in and speak to the kids about how middle school has real life applications. Can you imagine kids thinking that all this schooling has no use in real life? And so I know I thought that. If anyone in the community is interested or willing to speak to the kids and explain how that math class or the English or whatever it is you learned, the lessons you learned in middle school have real life effects as you go down the rules or as you go through your life. I think contacting the middle school and talking to folks there, they'd be delighted to have you come and speak to the kids. One other way you can serve the community, easy, just talk to the kids.
Might be a good thing for a recruiter to get in. I don't know if you guys, I've seen them at other events. I don't know if they already plan to be there, but that would be, yeah. Do you know when, did you ask what the dates were? Do you know when it is?
And I don't know their schedule for doing those. That's a phone call to the middle school to find out when they can.
Yeah, we're already linked up with the high school for those career days, but usually middle schools never reach out to us.
Right, and when I say career day, it's not, here are the careers that you can do when you grow up. It's more just explaining why school is important.
Why it's important to,
Yeah.
We see it when they get to high school. If they don't keep it up in the middle school, we see it when they're failing the test to join us in the high school. So
There you go. There's one real life thing, example right there.
One thing I will say is getting them through the lunch line in 8 minutes is for civilians. That's not bad. Boot
That is
camp,
moving. That's moving some
15
people.
minutes. We were eating it and beating it.
I
We
don't
weren't
know.
just going through the
I
line.
remember that.
I don't know if they made it more efficient, but I know when it first happened, it was like Facebook was blowing up with people. Oh, my kids don't have time to eat. And, you know, hopefully they kind of figured out, you know, how to make efficient use of that time now to get people through it. But yeah, TRPC. Yeah.
TRPC and TPB, right now, it's still planning for stuff for next year, going through the process that a lot of the new people haven't been through before, and some of the explanations are for people that have been there, but needed more explanation of stuff that's going on in the actual process of all. One of the things that comes up every, I'd say about 8 years or so,
Mhm.
maybe 10, is a little worry over the budget. Because it's, TRPC is basically funded through grants, mostly grants and the funds that each individual city gives. We may be seeing a slight increase because of our size. It's not that much. I think it was maybe $300 a year more. But they're working on that budget, and it's back where it was the first time that they brought budgets to us, way back when. So, oh, this is the trouble we got here.
Yeah.
But it always works out. One thing leads to another, and then all of a sudden money starts coming back in. So I don't see that it's a big problem with us. It's just something to be aware of.
Seems to be a common theme with government agencies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Always struggle with those kind of things. That's all I had, so if you got 8 minutes, what's the saying? Have you got 'em, smoke 'em, is that what they used to say?
The smoking lamp is lit.
We'll start our regular meeting at 7:30.
To get through the line.
Sir, if you don't know, we have like our national owners, like up in,
Is he?
Yeah, he just is new at recruiting. I think he lives in Rainier, so he just came in to just to sit in on a meeting and introduce himself. I guess they have to do some work for like cities and stuff, you know, if they, I think somebody's talking to Frank about now, like they have plumbers that, you know, National Guard will help you
Get through the line.
come in and you propose a project to them and see if they can help you, so. He said we may have some resources that can help you do
Not
some
saying
things
that I
that
would
we may
want
have to
them,
be having, you know, maybe able to help us do some little projects at least, so.
In a moving crowd.
He asked me what we needed, and I just wasn't ready at that second. I had my mind on other things, so I'm gonna meet with him next week sometime. And try to sit down with him and just see what he, you know, has to say. I think he worked. Doesn't this is where he lives? I think he works in Tacoma or someplace. He's like that. Yeah, so I forget exactly where he said, but he just yeah. He said someplace like I thought he said Tacoma or something, or Puyallup, but anyway, he's just around those, Rainier resident, so I think he just is trying to connect with the local communities.
Here, if you like it, you eat.
Oh, I learned to eat like a green egg.
You betcha.
assistant the city can request the National Guard to do the contract.
Civic work.
So essentially it would be, they would do the entire project.
They used to. And I'm
That'd be
not
great if
sure.
they could help do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time so we're gonna have to try to get volunteers with some of this stuff. We're gonna have to, we're just not gonna have the time to, so we can try to promote some volunteers and to pick up the slack on some of these, a few of them, you know, not major things, but just some, yeah. We'll see.
I was actually thinking, if you guys actually do the cold plunge and sauna, it's raising money and it's also a health thing, so it could be something in your court as well. Cause that would be to improve health, and mental healthness, and fitness.
All that, bring the kids.
We talked to Randy earlier today.
I did too. I kind of told you that's what it was.
Hey, Jen.
All these.
You said railroad days is this weekend?
It was last
Last
Saturday.
weekend.
I'm sorry?
It was Saturday.
Oh, Saturday.
Yeah.
We put him flag at we put him flag at the forest department.
Oh, did you get any flag? Nice. They got the lighting done too over at the flag poles finally.
That light,
All these years it's
Frank
been.
calls me and tells me, and I'm like, what?
Once we,
So it's nice finally to get something done, you know. I always feel like we beat our head to death over some such simple things. It's nice to see something get done, you know, that's been worked on
I
forever.
tried for, 2 years to get that lighting over there. Yeah, but it
It's personal. It's
just got the right person, the right time. They did, and one of the recruiting things, either in Yelm or Rainier, they met the guy. And, yeah, so that was cool. But that all fell out. So, yeah.
So you can go to school and talk to these kids about how carving their name in that bench has helped you as a stone carver later on.
We're gonna have classes at Artist Book School, starting at 12 o'clock. And there'll be
Wonder where Dan is tonight.
Pardon?
Wonder where Dan Fisher is tonight. He's usually here for our work session too, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a game going on at the schools? sometimes he's at.
Over there at the game, something going on, maybe the lights are on over there, but
JV football.
is that what it is?
Oh, that's
Chisels, a mallet,
JV
and get a practice stone.
tonight?
Oh no, today's
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I thought they
today's
played
Tuesday.
on Monday
Yeah,
night.
you're right. I was thinking today was Monday.
I was gonna say, my sister goes to those games
No,
because
I
her
think there's
grand,
I think it's middle school.
middle school
Yeah.
at the stadium.
Yeah.
Middle school
Soccer.
football?
Soccer.
Oh,
Yeah.
The other football.
does the middle school have football?
Yeah,
Yeah, they have football.
Yeah,
But I
thought
think
they,
they're Thursday.
oh, yeah,
At least that's what it was when I was in school.
I don't remember.
But I'm pretty sure it's middle school soccer tonight, from what I saw.
Oh, yeah, they're doing advertising.
I don't keep up with it.
something's going
I
on.
don't have any, I don't have any, my I have two sisters that go to the junior
Yeah, I'm gonna have to come to the homecoming game, that should be a good one.
homecoming.
Homecoming football game. I haven't been,
This
you know, my
Friday.
son graduated, so I haven't gone back, but every Friday I think, I should go watch the football game, I still, you know.
Yeah.
It's different when you have a kid playing, but I still should go support, feel like I should go support them, and they've been doing, you know, I'm
So have
surprised.
you
at
been
this stuff.
going to the game?
No,
Oh.
I haven't yet, but, I feel like I should, for some reason, I just feel like I should go.
Well, they
and
should win
support.
Friday. I mean, they play
Yeah.
Centralia. It's
Yeah,
homecoming. First in.
that's early, isn't
It's
it? I mean,
really
isn't that usually at the end of the
Yeah.
season, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it. Or at least more in October.
Yeah, that's what I thought
Yeah.
too.
Is that early, Jen? Isn't homecoming early?
It seems like it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fast. School just started.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
The school just started, yeah. How can they pick a homecoming queen and king without even having any time to evaluate these people?
Share your
They're probably picked way beforehand.
Yeah, they know before the school year even starts, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're about ready to start here in a minute. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We'll make contact here soon. Yep, okay, thank you. Okay, it's 7:30. We'll call to order the September 24th regular council meeting of the city of Tenino. Please stand for the flag salute. Jeff, would you like to start us?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First thing on our agenda is agenda approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Approval of minutes from 9/10/2024.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the 9/10/24 meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent calendar. Consent calendar, September 11th, 2024 through September 24th, 2024, consisting of payroll checks 32700 through 32701 and ETFs in the amount of $62,688.99. Claims checks 32697 through 32733, and ETFs in the amount of $109,443.96, for a grand total of $172,132.95. Payroll check 32699 voided due to a misprint. And we have liquor and cannabis licenses for Tenino Eagles and Tenino Shortstop, and excusal of Councilmember Godovac for illness.
Move approval of this consent calendar.
It's been moved and
Second.
seconded to approve the consent calendar as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next order is new business. This is the Hidden Meadows property donation that we talked about last week. Part of their process of disbanding was to offer those properties to the city. We talked about that last week, so now we have on the table a motion to approve or deny the property donation from Hidden Meadows. Our recommendation is that the city does not take on that they go to another organization for that, so.
That's fine too.
That's
I say
correct.
we not take it on and add
Okay.
expenses.
Is there, we need a motion in a second. This is a,
Yes.
oh, did you make a motion?
Yeah,
Okay, was there a
that-
second?
that-
Sorry.
That we allow somebody else to have it.
Just tell them we're not interested. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to deny the property donation from Hidden Meadows Homeowners Association. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll pass that on to them and they can follow whatever process they need to offer that to whatever process they need to go through. So thank you for doing that. Budget amendment. We talked a little bit about this in the work session. Let me get so I'm going to read this budget amendment and I'm going to read every line because I need to make some changes. So I want to make sure this is all clear and all those changes are noted as we go along. So I'm just going to start from the start. Ordinance number 931, an ordinance for the city of Tenino, Washington, amending the budget for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. Whereas on December 12th, 2023, the City Council adopted Ordinance 929, adopting the budget for the year 2024. And whereas the city needs to adjust for actual figures to several instances where actual revenues and expenditures vary from projected revenues and expenditures. And whereas the city now desires to amend the budget for the year 2024, now therefore be it ordained and established by the City Council of the City of Tenino, Washington, as follows. Section 1. The clerk treasurer is hereby directed to take the following actions no later than September 30th, 2024. Bringing the general fund to the actual starting balance of minus $393,671,013. Bringing the beginning balance of the Quarry Pool Fund to minus $6,185.07. Bringing the City Street Fund 101 actual beginning balance of minus $213,329.67. Bring the Special Revenue Fund actual beginning balance of $59,288.80. Bring the Contingency Fund 109 actual beginning balance of $94,800.39. Here's a change on this one. F, bring the Municipal Capital Improvement Fund to a starting balance of $99,586.82. Adjust the expected revenue to $2,220,344.87 and adjust the expenditures to $2,493,610.26. Bring the Water Fund 401 to the actual beginning balance of $329,871.94. Bringing the Water Capital Improvement Fund actual beginning balance to $1,050,089.51. Conduct an inter-fund transfer from the Sewer Fund 410 to Sewer Capital Improvement Fund 421 in the amount of $363,123.64. Another change on I is adjust the starting balance to $51,374.84. Bring the Sewer Reserve Fund 421 to a beginning balance of $136,346.54. Two new additions is bring the Sewer Capital Improvement starting balance to $1,221,898.91. And change the Stormwater Fund starting balance to $38,128.18. Those are two additions that were not on here. And last but not least, bring the SWWAIP, I think that's Southwest Washington Agricultural Innovation Park, okay, Trust Fund 601 to minus $26,780.82. Section 2, this ordinance shall be in full force and effective 5 days from and after its passage, approval, and publication as provided by law. And this is the first reading, will be passed by the council and approved by the mayor at the regular scheduled meeting, the 8th, well, yeah. So this is the first reading of this ordinance.
You said there were gonna be corrections?
And we'll bring out those corrections that I read tonight in the second, when we vote on the second, but we're voting on this as I adjusted.
Move approval of the first reading as amended.
Second.
It's been approved and seconded to approve the first reading of ordinance 931, an ordinance for the city of Tenino amending the budget for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. Is there any discussion?
2 questions. First, you mentioned a deadline of September 30th, which predates the actual approval. Just a,
It should be 5 days after the second reading.
5 days after the second reading, which one we'll have to actually do.
October 14th. Right?
okay.
Is that
No,
right?
and that's just
Yeah.
making the date match. with
I think
what
that
we
was,
actually
yeah,
approved.
this was for this reading maybe. Yeah, I see there's a discrepancy there, so it will, if we
Minor
need to
point.
adjust that, we'll adjust that
Minor point.
date there.
Yeah, and a question, if I was catching it correctly, the revenues are 2,220,000 plus, and the expenditures are 2,493,000 plus? This is a budget that anticipates a deficit, is that correct?
Yes, it will be a deficit if we spend, if that's the actual revenue we collect and expenditures. We took out the big stuff that was not, I mean, we just knew we weren't gonna, can you give me 1 minute just to double check on
Certainly.
kind of where we're at today, just so not giving you a bad, because I have it here, where we're at kind of for the year. But it was expected, it's in the minus now, and it's expected to stay in the minus until we make some kind of adjustment. Take me just 1 second to get to the right.
So we're just adjusting for the numbers as they stand now. So we're saying we're anticipating a deficit with the numbers that we
Yes.
currently have,
Yes.
but you're saying we're gonna do something to take care of that.
Yes.
And
So this kind of gets us where we're at today, and we're gonna have to do another budget adjustment at the end of the year because, like I said, we can't end of the year with any negatives. So there'll be another adjustment at the end of the year, kind of dealing with the finer points. These were just the big overall changes to the starting balances because there were some big ones there.
Got it, okay, I'm clear on that. That's fine.
So we'll keep you informed on kind of where we're at. I'm hoping we can make more cuts as we, these last few months on that, especially those ones that are the big negatives. The capital improvement fund and our general fund are the two that are really the issue. And so I'll keep you up to date on kind of where we're at with those funds and if we're making progress to get closer to not going further in the hole.
Okay, and this is after, these numbers we're giving now are the numbers that were accurate at the time of January 1st, or where we're at currently, after you've made all cuts, you already made decisions about certain cuts and.
I want to make sure so January 1st, we adopted a budget,
Yeah,
and those were based on what we thought, because I don't know how this happened again too, but we thought we had balances that weren't, but we did have balances that weren't correct. So the council was presented with a budget that had inaccurate numbers to start
right.
with.
So my question is, the numbers that we're doing here, this budget, are they a starting balance from January 1st, correct, the numbers that were at that time?
Yes, the starting balance is what our auditor at the end of when he got caught up to 2023, at the end of 2023, that's what these starting balances are where we were at the end of 2023.
I understand.
Basically, it rolled over into the start of 2024.
Okay, so they do not include any cuts that the city may have to consider at this point for projects or other expenses?
No.
Okay, I'm clear, thank you.
You're welcome. And like I said before, if anybody ever has questions on the details, we can get with you and try to, because there's a lot of numbers. You start looking at these numbers, there's a lot of numbers. So
And like I say, this
yeah.
is not my strong point, so thank you for your patience.
Okay, so is there any other comments?
Call for the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now I gotta find where we're at. There we go. I think that was the last thing. Yeah, we're back to reports. There's nobody here to give any further reports, so unless there's any last, I would say, comments or announcement, public comment. Anybody, Keith, you have any public comment?
Do I have a public comment?
You gotta come up here and speak in the microphone if you wanna have one. You're welcome. Okay, now,
If I have to get up, no,
He's too
thank you.
tired to get up now.
that's our way of discouraging public comments. You have to actually get out of your seat to, yeah.
I'll make a public comment.
Okay, make sure the green light's on, Brett.
My name is Keith Phillips, I live at I'm Keith Phillips. We live at 449 4th Avenue in Tenino, and own the property. And I just want to thank the city for its effort to pave and straighten out Park Street. It really is nice.
That was a nice improvement.
You don't even have to worry about the oncoming traffic and hitting the chuck hole anymore.
Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great project. Thank you for saying something about it. Announcements. Any announcements? None? Okay, if that's it, we're adjourned.
Non-debatable motion.